Abbey's Bookshop presents
Authors at Abbey's.
Part of the reason I thought it would never be a published book is that I wanted to be able to go into the feelings that would come up, and I knew they would be difficult. My ancestors arrived here in 1806. Each generation moved further out from Sydney as the settlement moved out, so they were always on the frontier, and we know now what was happening on the frontier, a great deal of violence. So it was very confronting to say to myself, I'm actually going to look at this instead of just thinking, that's all too hard and terrible to think about. So I did the journey and I took endless notes as I travelled. I allowed my mind to go in any kind of rambly digression. So I didn't enter this book with a specific intention. It was really an exploratory thing. To confront oneself with some of that difficult stuff is really good. It paradoxically opens the door to something that can come next. Instead of being at a kind of stalemate with those difficult ideas about what does it mean to be non-Indigenous in Australia, you have a way of thinking about it that can go forward into a world where perhaps there might be finally some justice for First Nations people. I wanted to write something that was very accessible. It's not a history book, and it's definitely not a lecture. It's quite light-hearted in places. In other places, it's very difficult and dark. What I would like people to think is, okay, this is a person who has, in their own way, confronted these questions. It is possible to do it. So maybe there's a way that I can do it too. My homemade DIY truth-telling would take a very different form, but everybody can do it. And I think what a better country we would be if more of us could think fearlessly about the realities that we've inherited. Look, the referendum was a disaster in many ways. 60% of us voted no. I think that it made a lot of people think about things that they had not thought about before. I hand out a lot of pamphlets for the yes vote. And what struck me is that certainly there were some racists. They had somehow managed to live in Australia and not have any idea what had happened in order for people like us, non-Indigenous people, to be living here, to, say that we own it. And I think that even though they probably went in after I gave them my little spiel, they probably still went in and voted no. Over the kitchen table, they might have said, that woman said X, Y, and Z. Let's find out a bit about that. I do feel that something has shifted for the better, even though the thing itself was such a disaster. I am an eternal optimist.